Well, Bonnie, thank you so much for being here and coming back on my show. I just want to catch some people up. We had talked back on episode 17. So if my listeners are just joining now, you may want to go back and listen to that episode. But Bonnie did her first, just to catch up, a first solo international trip by herself to get there. And so she had some concerns. And we went through those back in, I guess that was March, maybe we talked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your trip was soon after that. So we're kind of catching up. I'm so excited to hear about your trip. Um, but can you catch people up on some of those concerns that we had talked about back in episode 17? I know it was the travel part, the airports, right? And then the
Yeah.
food was another kind of a bigger concern. So, but tell people what you did. Where'd you go?
Okay.
First of
I
all.
went from North Carolina in the States down to Chile. I flew from Greensboro to Dallas, Texas, and then from Dallas to Santiago, Chile.
Mhm.
And then there I met up with my friend Becky, and we flew further south in Chile to Puerto Natales. Um, And then from there, we stayed there one night, and then we went to Torres del Paine, and we hiked for 8 days. Did a little the O trek there, backpacked around, and then we went back to Puerto Natales, stayed there for another night, and then flew up to Santiago, stayed there for a night, and then I flew back to Dallas and back to North Carolina. So it was a long, fun trip.
Yes, yes. And I know that that particular hike and the Torres de Paine is pretty popular, the O
Yeah.
circuit. So that's amazing. I think you said it was 8 days that you did
Yes.
that hike. Okay. Well, I'm anxious to get into that a little bit, but how was the flying to get there to meet your friend? How did you navigate that?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest concerns that I was having.
Yeah.
Um, but I took your suggestions. I was traveling with my backpack, and so
Hmm.
I was just worrying about the. I've never used a backpack as my
As your luggage.
check-in luggage before,
Yes, yes.
and with all the little different strings and everything.
Mhm.
So I just used a strap, strapped them up, and
Yes. Good.
threw it on there. So that was a handy little tip.
Good.
Um, And then to prepare for my time in Dallas, I looked at the airport map and just kind of got an idea of
Yeah.
where I was going to be going in and how I was going to get from one terminal to the other. And it was really easy. It was like, all
Yeah.
right, so
Good.
uh,
Good.
so I got there and just got on the little, I even forget what they call it, but the little tram or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I had just enough time
I think
to
I
get
read that. You had
there,
just enough time.
and like they were already boarding the plane by the time I made it there. So I didn't have a chance to explore the airport there in Dallas, but I didn't have any trouble. I didn't feel rushed or panicked or anything.
Okay.
I,
Good.
I knew where I was going because I had
Yeah.
prepared ahead of time. And I got
That's
there
good.
and got on the plane and had a very long flight, overnight flight. Um,
Hmm.
and then it was preparing for customs that I was really nervous about and getting through customs there. So I just filled out my little form, and yep, I got
Good.
food in my pack and
Yeah.
hoping they were going to let me through. Well, it turns out I got there and they didn't even check anything, didn't even ask me any questions. They just took my little form and let me on through. I'm like, what?
Oh, that's wonderful. Even though you had food, they didn't even, okay. Well,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's a relief, I'm sure, right? Because I would be nervous too, like getting there going, are they gonna confiscate some of my food, right?
Yeah,
So,
and right before I even went through, because I took some trail mix with me on the plane, I was like, I don't know if they're going to let me have this, so I threw it away, and I was like, I'll just buy more
oh,
when so
yeah.
it wasn't a whole bunch because I was not planning. I thought I was going to be able to eat it all on the flight, but I just threw it away just in case.
Just in
Turns out
case.
they didn't even ask. I could have just
Oh
kept
gosh.
it.
Yeah, because I know that they I mean if things are prepackaged, as I said, there's usually not an issue. But
Yeah,
well, I'm glad. I'm glad that all worked out. Um, Good. You got there safely. You met up with your friend.
yeah,
So your hike, I saw some pictures. I watched some videos of your time there. I'm just so excited to hear a little more about firsthand. And if you could share, um, you know, day one seemed really exciting, but I know there was some struggles in there,
Yeah,
right?
there were.
Right. Um, so I'm curious to ask though, did you um do it with a group? So was there a group that kind of organized? Because you mentioned something you would end up at camp at night, right?
Yeah.
Um, so was there a group that you worked with, even though your friend and you seemed to be traveling by yourself? How did that work?
Um, no, there were Becky and I just did it together. So it was just
Okay.
the two of us.
Okay.
She planned everything.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
She does these kinds of hikes all the time. And so she put it together and she gave me a little um, list of things I needed. And so
Hmm.
that was helpful too, because I haven't been
Okay.
on a backpacking trip. I went in college like 24 years ago. I went on a 6 day backpacking
Yeah.
trip. So it's been a while since I've done this. So I definitely utilized her help on how to prepare for the trip. But we got there. The way it works is you have to register, like you have to um, not register, but reserve. There we go. That's the word I'm looking
Okay.
for. You have to reserve your campsite because they only have so many campsites at each. You have to go from one campsite to the next. And so
Okay.
you have to reserve your campsite for each night. And then there's to go around the O Trek.
Hmm.
Um, you end up going with the same group because everybody goes from one campsite to the next because you
Okay.
only have time to get from one campsite to the next during the day.
All right.
And so we ended up meeting people and getting to know. We would see them on the trail. We
Yeah.
were kind of together, but not really.
Okay.
Um, and on the O Trek, the back part of it, you can only go one way. So you're with just the one group that you start with because you get kicked out of camp. You're like, yep, you got to be out of camp by like 9:30, and then you've got to get started on the next one.
Okay.
And then get there, get set up, and you go eat. So that's how that worked on the front part. On the back part of it, where the what they call the W track, which is a
Yes.
lot easier to get
Yeah.
to,
Yeah, I saw
that
that.
you can go either way, and there are a lot more people on that because it's easier to get to. On
Okay.
the back part, the O track, the only way that you can get there is on foot, and they get supplies into the camps by horseback. Um,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't know any of this going in. I learned all of this
Yes.
along the way.
Yes.
So it was a really, really fun. I just went into it not knowing much about what to expect and just being open to the adventure of it all.
The adventure. Yes.
Yes.
I love that.
So,
And speaking of the adventure, so I know it was an adventure. Share with us, what was your favorite part of those 8 days of that hike?
oh, that's a
I'm
tough
sure
one.
there were, I know there was some beautiful scenery along the way. Um, but if you could pick one.
Yeah. Well, I'm not usually a fan of snow, but
Yeah,
um,
I saw
there
you got
was
some snow.
there was one day, I believe it was day 6,
Hmm.
where we were hiking, um, going up to view the, we were going up a pass to view a big glacier, and it started snowing. It was this beautiful white, just,
Oh,
it wasn't like a pounding snow. It was just this
yeah.
white, fluffy stuff coming from
Yeah.
the sky, and it just covered everything so beautiful. I think that was probably my favorite part, just being able to experience hiking in the snow and not being freezing cold and being able, just the scenery around us was just stunning. And we made little snowmen up there on the on the
How
lookout.
fun. How fun. You said it wasn't cold though. So,
Well, it didn't feel, I wasn't freezing cold.
okay.
Usually, I mean, it was in the 30s, but
Okay.
I I don't know why I wasn't super cold, but I mean, I had lots of layers on and I was prepared because I had enough stuff. But yeah, I wasn't freezing cold and so cold that I couldn't enjoy it.
Couldn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Goodness. What was your most challenging? day or time? I think you,
Probably day 7,
yeah.
where I started developing shin splints on day 5,
Oh,
and hiking with shin splints. Going uphill wasn't too bad, but coming downhill when my hiking boot was rubbing against my shin
oh
was
gosh.
really hard. Um, and I was having a hard time walking. But and by days on day 7, um, we got to where if we went straight, we could have gone to the exit and we could have just been done. But our plan was to go up the valley. So we would make a left to finish that second part of the W, go
Okay.
up the valley, and then we were going to go get up really early in the morning and hike even higher to go visit the towers at sunrise. Um, but we got to the part where we could either go straight or go left, and I was like, I just want to be done. I don't want to finish this. My legs, it was just hurting to hike.
Oh,
It's like in the exit, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm not telling Becky this because she's super excited about the next day. And, I'm like, oh, I just want to be done.
oh,
And there's the exit, but here we go. We're going left. Like, okay, I can do this. So
how'd you push through that?
a lot of prayer
Okay.
and just learning that when I am weak, that I feel God's strength even more. And so when I am weak, I am strong. So I really learned that lesson. It was very humbling and but good. So just doing a lot of praying, and then we get up through the valley and just being able to see the beauty of it. I was like, okay, I would have missed this
Yeah, yeah,
had I gone straight. I can do another day.
yeah.
And so we got down to camp, got all, it was the most beautiful campsite of all of the campsites.
Let's see. Yeah.
And it was worth the pain getting down
Yes.
there. And but then looking, we can see the towers from where we were, but I had to, this was just another humbling decision. I'm very competitive. I like, this was our plan. We're going to get up, we're going to
Mhm.
go. But I'm like, Becky, I just don't physically think I can hike, because it was going to be a steep hike to get up to the towers in the morning. And I was like, I don't think I can physically do it. And she was like, unfortunately, she's done that part of the trek before, so she's seen it. So she was okay with, after I tell you about what happened on day 1, you'll understand probably more why she was
Okay.
okay with it. But she was like, okay, we'll just sleep in tomorrow. We'll just get a nice easy start on the day. And then day 8 ended up being fantastic. It was
See,
still funny
okay.
getting there, but it ended up being a really good day.
So it's nice that your friend was okay with the possible change, the change of plans that
Yeah,
happen. I mean, we have to, when we travel, we have to be open to that. Even though I know you did finish it, but you didn't do that little extra, right?
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's still a sense of accomplishment in finishing, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
probably really happy you did at least finish and not exit when you wanted to exit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I think I know that I've learned through travels that you have to be open to just change of plans. You have to be flexible,
Yeah.
because sometimes it might be a physical thing, or it might just be hey, I think I want to spend a little more time here versus going somewhere else. But it's a good thing that you shared that with your friend Becky, and that you were able to make it for sure. I know I would probably have pushed through. I know I think it was, I don't know if it was day 2 or day 3 when I did the Machu Picchu hike. Like I was ready to quit too. Like I was literally crying because I was in so much pain because of my knee. And it was the same thing. It was the downhill. It was the
Yeah.
going down the steps that was like killing my knee. And I literally sat on those big stone steps and I was by myself because everybody else had like gone on, and it was starting to get dark. And I'm like just crying because I'm like, I'm so in such pain, but I'm like, okay, I gotta get to camp. Like
Yeah.
you have that motivation, like, okay, I gotta at least get to camp. And sure enough, like the next day was fine. Like, I don't know, just sometimes we do have to push through
Yeah.
physically. So speaking of physical things, how did you physically prepare for this hike? Did you do anything beforehand to kind of prepare your body for it?
I'm a runner. So I
Okay.
just did just running and walking. I went on a couple of hikes, but once I got on the trail, I realized I probably should have done more hiking in the
Hills,
mountains, the
right? Yeah.
running. Because the first couple of days I was sore. I wasn't painful, but I was sore because my muscles weren't used to one, carrying the pack, and two,
Mhm.
doing the hiking. I was like, man, I probably could have done a better job preparing for this. And so, so next time I know that,
The next
um,
time, more hikes, more
more hikes.
hills,
Yeah, more hikes, more hills. Yeah.
more hills, right? Totally, I know. I try to avoid that. You mentioned day one, something special about day one that you want to share?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we um, took the bus into the park, got off, and then the actual start of the trail was still about 4 miles away. And so they had shuttles where you could pay, like, I think it was 3,000 pesos for, like, you know, it's like $4 or $5 or
Okay.
something like that. To get, you get the shuttle and you take that. And, but there was a line for the shuttles, and Becky's like, hey, I know that, I've been reading there's this other trail. If we can just walk up the road a little bit, we'll take that trail and we'll kind of cut off that part and we can go see a waterfall on the way, and then we'll catch up with the main trail that way. We're like, all right, that sounds like a pretty good plan. So, and she was like, and I don't want to wait in that line for a shuttle. We don't need
Yeah.
to take the shuttle. We can walk. So we just start hiking up the road, and the shuttles are zooming by us, zoom, zoom, zoom. And we hike, and it's maybe 10 minutes up the road. When we get off the road, we see where the trail is supposed to be.
Mhm.
And we can still see the entrance from where we are. We get there, we see the trail is closed off. I'm like, oh man. So, like, all right, we got to turn around. We don't even think about, just going back to the start and catching a shuttle and going to the start of the trail. We're like, we were on our way, man. We were thinking we don't need that stinking shuttle. We're just gonna hike. And so we got our sights set on moving forward and coming. There's a little bit of a step from the grass down to the road, down to the gravel road. And Becky's still not quite being balanced with the where we're still very recent getting
Yeah.
on the trail here with the pack on her back. Well, she steps down with her left foot and her ankle twists, and she goes down and hits the gravel with her right knee.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
she just goes down on her hands and knees. And I'm like, Becky, are you okay? And she goes, yeah, I'm good. And I was like, is your ankle okay? Because it looked like it twisted. I was like, and is that your bad ankle? Because she had surgery on her right ankle a couple of years
Oh
back. And
gosh.
she was like, nope, nope, that ankle's fine. I was like, okay. And so she gets up and kind of shakes off, just like, all right, let's go. And still, we don't think to
Go
just
back.
go back and catch the shuttle. Instead, we just carry on the road, thinking it's only going to, she thought it was only like 2, maybe 3 miles to the start of the trail. Well, according to the GPS that she had going, 4 miles later, we finally get to the start of the trail.
Oh my gosh.
And
4 miles.
as she's walking, a couple minutes after she fell, she's still looking not quite right, and you see this patch of red developing on her knee. And she's like, "Oh, I think I cut my knee." And it's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she doesn't mention anything about her ankle at this point. We get walking on the road, and the more we walk, the more she starts hobbling.
Uh-oh.
Turns out she had twisted that left ankle completely, and has a gash in her right knee. Because we finally got to the start of the trail, and she pulled up her pant leg, and it's just
Yeah.
covered in blood.
Oh my
And
gosh.
her ankle is, she's been walking on it now for about 4 miles on this twisted ankle. I'm like, Becky, we don't have to do this hike. We can figure something else out. You've twisted your ankle. You've got a gash in her knee. I'm thinking, we're
Yeah.
going to get going on this trail. Her knee's going to get infected. There's going to be no way to get her any,
Help, right?
medical
Yeah. Right.
attention. I'm not any kind of a
Right.
nurse or a doctor or anything. And so we talked about it, and she was like, no, no. I was like, she's like, oh, we're doing this hike. I was like, Becky, your ankle is twisted and you have a gash in your knee. Are you sure? It's like, yeah. So she's very stubborn, very determined, and she wanted the challenge of being able to do the hike with a sprained ankle. It just made it more fun for her
Oh my
because
gosh.
that's Becky. So,
So, I mean, did it swell up? I mean, you probably did.
yeah,
Yeah.
it swelled up, it bruised, all the
Yeah.
good stuff, but she just kept hiking
He pushed for, oh my
and she
gosh.
didn't complain one bit. No
Wow.
complaining. She just and the embarrassing thing is she was hiking faster than me. I'm like, my goodness, I need to up
Could
my
you
game.
imagine if she hadn't sprained her ankle? You'd be
I
really
know.
left behind, right?
Yeah.
So, so maybe that was I mean, a blessing in disguise, and that it slowed her down a little bit, so
Yeah.
that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Wow, she does sound very determined, and I sounds like you guys had a super fun time. Did were there any surprises, or I call them sort of serendipitous things that happened that you weren't expecting, that you know, I know the scenery is gorgeous there.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, on day two, as we were hiking out of camp, we we weren't too far out, and we see this rainbow in front of us,
oh,
and it was this beautiful, huge rainbow. We could see the
I love
whole
rainbows.
thing,
Oh,
and it was just really spectacular just to be able to. There was a very surprising, oh, rainbow, yes,
yes.
yeah. So
Oh,
being able to see that rainbow,
awesome. And rainbows are beautiful because pictures don't capture it. You know,
no, they don't.
even though
Uh,
you take a picture, it's like you have to be there to see it. And I'm sure with the glaciers and the mountains in the background of this rainbow, I'm sure it was
yeah.
amazing. Yes. Um, if someone else wanted to do this trip, um, whether solo or with a group tour, I don't know. I would imagine there are group tours that maybe do
Yeah.
these
Yep.
kind
Yeah. You can
of,
hire
okay.
a guide. You can,
You can hire a
yeah,
guide. Okay.
we wanted to save the money and just do it ourselves. So,
Okay. And Becky sounds like she's really resourceful and she
yeah.
has done this before. So, but someone, if they wanted to go solo, they could probably hire a guide or even join a
Yep.
tour group, right? I guess.
And there, we even met quite a few people out there, even some young ladies that they were just doing on their own.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Is it is
Without a
it
guide,
marked
without anything. But yeah.
is it marked real well that if
Yes.
someone wanted, okay.
The trail is really well marked. You would have to really not be paying attention to get
Okay.
lost. Um, and there's, clear guides as to, this is the next camp you go to. There are maps everywhere. So it's, like I said, I probably would have been okay doing it myself, but it was
Okay.
just a lot more fun with somebody,
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
able to experience that with it. But yeah, well, there were quite a few people that were out there solo, but they also, um, because of the way that trail works with going from one camp to the other,
Hmm.
you kind of make friends and you can
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
looking out, well, did you see that person get into camp? Did you see him? So kind of
Yeah.
making sure that everybody made it from one camp to the next.
That's awesome. Yes. I love hearing those kind of stories. And what recommendations would you or suggestions would you make to someone who might want to do this trip? Might want to do the O circuit or even the W circuit. I know that's a little shorter, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, what recommendations, since you've done it, what is something I guess you wish you knew beforehand that you could maybe advise somebody that's thinking about doing that trail?
Um, on the big long day, which is day 4, where you go over the John Garner Pass and then go all the way down to Camp Gray. That's the longest day. It takes, like they estimate it should take 9 to 12 hours. That's their estimate for everybody. So it took us just
Wow.
under 11 hours. And
Wow.
that was the longest day. There was some rain, there was some snow going over the pass coming. We had to go all the way up, and that was the highest elevation
Oh
and
my
lowest.
goodness.
And on that day, we wished we would have, because you have the option at the refugios, you can get a room there, or rent a tent, or set up your own tents. There are different
Okay.
options. So we wish we would have sprung for paying for the refugio for that night. So that after that long day, that long hike, that we wouldn't have had to set up our camp, and all of that. So we
That
would have
makes
just been able
sense.
to go and have a nice, warm, dry
Place to,
best. Yeah.
yes.
So if you're going to splurge on any one night instead of just a tent, and there are options where you can rent a tent at any of the campsites. You don't even have to carry a tent with you.
Oh, see, that's
They
nice
have tents
too.
set up. You can rent a tent, or you
Okay.
can, and there are some of them where most of the camps have rooms available. Some only have the tents. So you don't even have to take any camp stuff if
Oh,
that's not
okay.
something that you want. So
Lighter
that's
pack
an
then,
option too. Yeah.
right? Yeah,
So
you have a
just your
lighter.
pack and your food.
Yeah.
Um, and they also have, you can buy meals at those foods. We splurged on a couple of meals. We had,
Okay.
food with us, but um, it was nice to splurge on some meals. We bought a meal that night. We bought some pizza. Um, so we're like, all right, yep, we're
Yep.
gonna earn us some pizza.
So that's on day 4, you said, or day
Yeah,
3? Day
day 4.
4. Day
Mm-hmm.
4 is the longest day if you're doing
Yeah,
the O circuit. And your recommendation is to splurge. I think I would splurge and
yeah.
probably get either the tent pre-set up because I mean, was it dark by that point by the time you got to camp?
It was getting dark.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
because 11 hours, yeah, I would imagine
yeah,
it's probably starting to get
yeah.
dark. Yeah.
We
Okay.
started before dawn, so
Okay.
we took our tent down in the dark, um, and then started out in the dark so that we would be able to get to camp
Yeah.
by daylight
It
and
was
everything.
somewhat light, maybe.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm thinking after I've seen your videos, seen some of your pictures, oh my gosh,
uh-huh.
that I might have to add this to my bucket list. I've known some other people
Yes,
that have done it. And there's a group, tour group that it's called Jump Adventures actually, and she does that trip, the O circuit. She does it at once a year. She takes her group out
oh,
to do
cool.
that. So, if someone's wanting to go solo but not quite by themselves, kind of idea, there are, like you said, there's some groups that do that. But it's nice to know that it's very well marked,
Yeah,
so that and you felt safe the whole time.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
hmm,
that's good. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And
any
there's also the option when you get to Camp Gray. I know there was one of the people in the hiking group that we are people that we met. They stayed an extra night at Camp Gray because that's right near where the glacier is. And then they went, you can go kayaking
oh,
up around the glaciers. You can go ice cave hiking and hike on the
okay,
glacier. So if you want to make
stay
an
a little.
extra day of it and rest
Yeah.
after that really long day, then you can
Oh, I like that
do that.
idea.
So, yeah,
It's probably something I would do. I like kayaking. So,
yeah.
oh, that's great info. Um, any other tidbits you want to share about your trip or um, to my listeners?
Um, let's see, just going with enough dry clothes, nice
Wow.
warm clothes, like the little, I think it's called a buff jacket that I could look forward to every night to just get warm. That highly recommend. Need a buff
Yep.
jacket.
Yeah.
Going to camp.
Maybe
Yeah.
extra socks,
Yes. Extra socks. Um,
dry socks. So you can put some
yes.
dry.
Yeah. On day 5, it just poured from the whole day. That was
Oh
the
my
one
goodness.
day that I was just miserable. And it, they had said, yeah, the hike should only be like 3.5 hours. Well, it took us like 4.5. And so, oh, so don't trust these signs. Don't trust the distance and don't trust the times because
Okay.
it's longer in distance than they say, and it's going to take
Take
longer
longer.
than they
Yeah.
say.
I, I
Uh,
did I did find that usually that's true. I don't know what they base these times on. Maybe,
I don't know either.
speed hikers. I don't
Yeah,
know, but like I'm this like I've done some hikes and like, oh, it should only take you. Oh, it always takes me longer. I don't
yeah,
and I don't consider myself a slow hiker.
yeah, me either. And then I was like,
Right.
oh my goodness, I'm feeling really incompetent, but I'm moving. I'm moving. I'm in good shape, and I can't
Right.
make it in
Yes.
these
Same
times.
here. At least I think
Yeah.
I'm in good shape.
So that was humbling. Another humbling
Yes,
aspect,
yes,
but
yes, I
yeah.
imagine. I imagine. Oh, that's super. Oh gosh. I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience and sharing the tidbits too. Like if someone wants to do this trip, those are some great suggestions. What to wear, maybe some options for renting a tent. I
Yeah.
think I would probably recommend taking that shuttle in the beginning, unlike,
Yes, definitely take the shuttle,
yeah, take the
please. We,
shuttle.
we took it on the way back. It was so easy.
Okay.
Take the shuttle.
Take the
Yeah.
shuttle. You can buy meals, which is nice. That I didn't know that was an option on that trail. So that's a great thing if you don't, I mean, you're obviously going to want to bring your own food too, to save money. But if someone needs to like, you know, have a pizza night, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But
And
those
it
are
just
all
tastes so
great.
much better when you earn it. Yeah.
Yes, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Those are all super suggestions, and I'll make sure I include some of those in the notes, the show notes for people if they're interested in that trip to go take that hike 8 days in Chile, in the Patagonia region, folks, which is beautiful.
Yes.
And I know you did some videos, Bonnie. Is that something you would want to maybe share the link to in the
Yeah,
show
I can
notes?
share the link to my
Okay.
YouTube channel. It has them all linked together in a playlist.
Perfect. Yeah,
So,
I think people might enjoy that. I loved how um Bonnie likes to narrate their time, and
and
she's
sometimes I
very,
use a different accent,
yeah, she
just
has a different accent.
yeah.
She's very animated because she is an author. So, she brings in these different characters
Yeah.
as her narrator. So, you might enjoy those videos. We'll make sure I include that YouTube link for them. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Bonnie, this has been wonderful. Thank you. And let me know if you're going to do another trip. I'd love to hear
Yes.
about it.
Well,
All right.
yep. And
Thank you
thanks for
so
your
much.
help.
Yep.
Yep. Mhm.
Have a good night.
All right,
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye.